Well, I've been riding my bike for about 16 hours every single day. I've only slept for about 5 hours a night. I've been eating about 9,000 calories of food. Hello! An amazing emotion to get back here, to be welcomed by my family, my wife and my 2 daughters, and yeah, I now need a good night's sleep and a bath. I mean, keep in mind the old world record was 123 days, so this is not a marginal gain. This is, and so people were saying, you know, is this crazy? Is it too ambitious? 10 years ago, I broke this record, the circumnavigation, but it was solo, unsupported. This time I've gone all out with a support team, covering over 240 miles a day. So to, you know, 2.5 months has been an absolute blur. If you imagine, I've not slept for more than 5 hours in that time. I've been on the bike for 16 hours a day. It hurt a huge amount, and what you quickly learn as an endurance athlete is there's a big difference between hurting and being injured. So as long as you can tell the difference, you can keep going. You know, I've crashed 3 times. Maybe I should learn to ride my bike better, but I mean, it's not been without incidents. We've had serious accidents with the support vehicles as well. It's been tough. You know, the alarm's gone off at 3:30 every morning. I've been on the bike at 4 a.m. and I've ridden for at least 16, 17 hours every day since the 2nd of July. So yeah, it's been brutal. People will have a crack and good luck to them, and that's what records are for. I absolutely, fully expect somebody to go faster in the future, and I look forward to seeing how they do it, because they will have my utmost respect. I can tell you, I'm not going to cycle around the world a 3rd time.
I've done professional expeditions for over 10 years now, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done mentally and physically. It's taken me to my absolute limits. I mean, keep in mind that the previous world record was 123 days. There was really no reference point for trying to go sub 80, and a lot of people thought it was impossible. But we've done it.
Well, you've done it, and you're sounding. I suppose maybe you need to have sort of measured tones if you're embarking on something just so gargantuan. But there were times, weren't there, when you were sort of almost tipped over the edge, weren't you? I mean, when you fell off your bike and problems with your support team.
Yeah, I mean, I've had 3 crashes on the way around. I should maybe learn to ride my bike better. But I think the reality about me sounding quite calm and collected is that I genuinely don't think it's sunk in yet. I mean, I crossed the finishing line, and it's been an absolute sort of media whirlwind, and being back with friends and family, you know, my 2 beautiful daughters here running around the room, and my wife, and you know, it's been incredibly intense, and I'm very, very sleep deprived. So I'm sure it's going to take a couple of days for me to get any perspective on this. The only perspective I'm getting really is everyone else's reaction to it, and you know, that's quite incredible. I rode into Paris this evening with a huge amount of people, and there was hundreds on the finishing line. So it's very touching to see how other people have engaged with this simple journey. I mean, you know, nobody's ever tried to do a man-powered, human-powered around the world in 80 days, and you know, I've come back feeling like the world is a gigantically small place, if that makes any sense at all. You know, if you can actually get around under your own steam in that amount of time.
And I guess, despite the fact that you did have a support team, it must be a very solitary venture, this, because you're spending so much time on your own on the bike.
Yeah. I mean, the mental challenges. I mean, most road riders could maybe get their head around riding 240 miles in a day. So that's what, 384 kilometres. So imagine doing just shy of 400 kilometres in a day. But then you've got to do that every day for 2.5 months. So it's a mental game. It's absolutely how you compute it and how you think about it. And there's a massive amount of suffering, a huge amount of hurt. And, you know, as an athlete, it's kind of trying to figure out quite quickly what's the difference between hurting and being injured. And because this has pushed me, you know, physically to the limit. And when you're that sleep deprived, you know, it's making sure that I can ride safely as well. And that's where my support team come in, because I think if it's that classic line, if I knew at the start what I know now, would I do it? And it's a pretty scary prospect what I've just been through over the last 2.5 months.
Where in the world has the worst drivers?
Unfortunately, parts of Middle America, it's just blokes in pickup trucks. So there was unfortunately a minority of people who make it their business not to like cyclists. But yes, there was a big swathe of of Middle America, where actually one guy actually tried to run me off the road and literally swerved into me, and a lot of sort of road rage and abuse. But it's sad, and I never like to think that's a true reflection on a place.
I guess it's going to feel very odd for you tomorrow morning not getting on a bike.
Yes, I mean, if you imagine everything you've done since July the 2nd, I've ridden a bike, and I've got my alarm's gone off at 3:30 every morning, and I've been on the bike at 4 o'clock every morning. So to break that routine and to sleep for more than 5 hours and to, as you say, not ride my bike, I mean, there's actually a huge amount to be done now because I can't just stop. I've not walked for 2.5 months. I walked up a flight of steps when I was at the airport flying back to Europe a few days ago, and it was incredibly painful just walking up and down steps. So it's going to take a couple of months to come down from this one.